Imagine a car that had everything: power, style, comfort, and practicality. A car designed to be the ultimate all-rounder. It had the agility of a hatchback, the comfort of a sedan, and the ruggedness of an SUV. It was a car meant for the future, but fate had other plans. Instead of ruling the roads, it faded into the background, misunderstood and forgotten. This is the story of the Ford Fusion, a car that could have been legendary but ended up as one of the biggest what-ifs in automotive history. The year was 2004. The Indian automobile market was thriving, but it was simple. Hatchbacks were for city commuters, sedans were for the aspirational middle class, and SUVs were for those who wanted power and presence. No one was experimenting, no one was thinking outside the box. But then came Ford, a company known for pushing boundaries. They saw an opportunity to introduce something revolutionary, something that defied categories. What if a car could give you the best of all worlds? What if you didn't have to choose between a hatchback, sedan, or SUV? What if you could have it all? And so, Ford introduced the Fusion. When it hit the streets, it looked like nothing else on the road. It had a tall stance, giving it a strong road presence. It had a high ground clearance, making it perfect for Indian roads filled with potholes and speed breakers. It was spacious, more than a hatchback, yet more compact than a sedan. It was built for those who wanted something different, something unique. And under the hood, it packed a punch: a 1.6L Duratec petrol engine that produced 101 bhp, more than enough to make it one of the most powerful cars in its segment. It was strong, responsive, and felt exciting to drive. On paper, it had everything a buyer could want. But reality had a different story to tell. From the very beginning, there was a problem. Ford had created something incredible, but they failed to explain it. People were confused. Was this a hatchback? Was it a sedan? Was it an SUV? There was no clear answer. And in a market where people wanted certainty, the Fusion's biggest strength, its uniqueness, became its biggest weakness. Buyers didn't know what to make of it. If someone wanted a hatchback, they had cheaper options. If someone wanted a sedan, they had more premium options. If someone wanted an SUV, they wanted something bigger and bolder. Fusion was stuck in the middle, in no man's land. And then there was the price. The Fusion was significantly more expensive than the hatchbacks of its time. Indian buyers were price sensitive, and they didn't see the value in paying extra for something they didn't fully understand. A hatchback should be affordable. A sedan should be luxurious. An SUV should be powerful. The Fusion was trying to be all three, and that confused people. But the real issue: fuel economy. India is a country where mileage is king. No matter how powerful a car is, if it doesn't give good mileage, people hesitate. And the Fusion, with its powerful 1.6L engine, was not fuel efficient by Indian standards. Ford tried to make up for it by introducing a diesel variant in 2007, but by then, the damage had already been done. The market had spoken, and the verdict was not in Ford's favor. Then came the maintenance nightmare. Ford already had a reputation for high maintenance costs, and the Fusion was no exception. Spare parts were expensive. Service centers were limited. Buyers feared long-term ownership costs. In a country where brands like Maruti and Hyundai dominated with affordable and reliable after-sales service, Ford struggled. The writing was on the wall. The Fusion was not selling, and Ford had to make a decision. In 2010, they pulled the plug. The Fusion was discontinued, marking the end of a bold but misunderstood chapter in India's automotive history. But here's the real twist in the story. Was the Fusion actually a failure at first glance? Yes. It didn't sell well. It never became the blockbuster Ford had hoped for. But when you look deeper, you realize something incredible. The very thing that made Fusion a failure, the idea of a hatchback SUV crossover, became the future of the Indian automobile industry. Just a few years after Fusion was gone, Ford launched the EcoSport. And this time, the market was ready. The same country that rejected the Fusion embraced the EcoSport with open arms. Why? Because by then, India had evolved. People now understood what a compact SUV was. The demand for high ground clearance vehicles with compact dimensions had skyrocketed. Ford had been ahead of its time with the Fusion. It had the right vision, just at the wrong moment. And today, when you look at the roads, what do you see? Compact SUVs everywhere. Every brand is making them. The segment is now the fastest growing in the country. And what was the first step towards this revolution? The Ford Fusion. It's funny, Isn't a car that failed to make a mark in its own time ended up shaping the future. If the Fusion had launched 10 years later, it might have been a bestseller. But history doesn't work that way. Timing is everything. Today, if you ever spot a Ford Fusion on the road, take a moment. Look at it. It's not just another forgotten car. It's a reminder. A reminder that sometimes, being ahead of your time is just as dangerous as being behind it. A reminder that even the best ideas can fail if the world isn't ready for them. A reminder that just because something didn't succeed doesn't mean it was wrong. And perhaps, that's the biggest lesson from the Ford Fusion. It was not just a car. It was an idea, an experiment, a bold step into the unknown. It may not have succeeded in the way Ford hoped, but it left a legacy that can't be denied. It proved that innovation requires risk, and sometimes, that risk doesn't pay off immediately. But in the grand scheme of things, those who dare to think differently are the ones who shape the future. The Ford Fusion may be gone, but its spirit lives on. Every compact SUV you see on the road today carries a little bit of its DNA. It was a car that deserved more than what it got. It was a car that should have been a legend. But that's how history works. Some stories end before they should. Some heroes never get the recognition they deserve. And some machines, no matter how great, are just born in the wrong era. And if you love stories like this, forgotten cars, misunderstood legends, and the fascinating history of automobiles, then you're in the right place. This is Auto Review Zone, where we bring you deep dives into the cars that shaped the world, whether they succeeded or failed. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever driven a Ford Fusion, or do you own one? Let us know your experiences. Because at Auto Review Zone, we don't just talk about cars, we tell their stories.